And I gotta say, Victor's a bitch.
Fatality.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Wake Up 3. This is round 36. We are your hosts, Cam.
And Molly, and we are a fighting game podcast from a couple who loves fighting games.
That is right, and we are starting things off with a mix-up, as usual.
I feel like that was a mix-up, what we just did.
I think so, because usually you introduce the thing, but I wanted to just jump right in today.
Yeah, Cam's got the mix-up.
That's right.
Woo, everybody celebrate.
I've got the mix-up this week, and let's jump into it. It's going to be a Tekken 8 mix-up, so get ready for the next mix-up.
Oh, goodness.
We are throwing things back a little bit. It's been a while since we've done this, but we're going to do 2 moves and a lie, where I'm going to give you 3 moves and have you guess which one I made up.
Okay.
I'm going to do this 3 times, so there are 3 separate characters. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Let's start with Lars Alexanderson.
Oh, boy.
Let's see if you can get it. Silent Entry, Rebel Yell, and Zeus Unlimited.
This is tough. One of these isn't real. Okay.
One of these is fake.
I think I'm going to just go with... Man, it's hard. You did a good job on this because
Thanks.
I'm mixed up already, y'all. I'm going to go with Silent Entry.
Silent Entry is real,
Oh,
and it's
no.
actually one of his stances.
Oh, okay.
So...
You're exposing me, my Lars knowledge.
Well, there are about 200 moves on
Right.
everybody's move list. Yeah, this was going to be tough right off the bat. If you don't know every single move name, it might be kind of hard. But
Okay. Can I take a second guess since I know that one's not,
sure.
or that one is real?
Yeah, let's do
I
it.
think out of the remaining 2, I feel like I'm going to go with Rebel Yell.
Yeah, that one was...
Okay, that was
That's the
actually
fake
my
one.
first thought because I felt like it could be, but it's also something you could come up with because
Yeah,
it's in a song.
Yeah.
Is that why you came up with it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he's
All
part
right.
of the Lion Rebellion. I wanted to keep it on brand at least.
Well, sorry, Lars, I failed you. Let's move on from that as quickly as we can.
Let's see if you can get some Kuma moves.
Okay.
I've got Berry Aggressive, Wind Bear Fist, and Salmon Hunter.
I'm going to go with Very Aggressive.
You got it.
Yeah.
That's right.
I thought there's no way they named something that pun-like. I don't know, but nice try.
Yeah, it was worth a shot.
Pretty good.
And I know you're not like a Kuma main, but maybe that actually helped in this scenario.
Maybe it did. Maybe I had that nervousness with Lars. Like, oh my god, there's so much on the line. I have to get this right. And I caved.
Well, let's see if I can get you with the third one. It's going to be back to somebody you know, Li Shaolan.
Okay. Lee's pretty new to me. I can forgive myself if I get this wrong.
Right. Well, let's see here. We've got Rave War Combo, Lee Harassment, and Rosy Cheeks.
These all sound really weird to me. Rosy Cheeks fits, but is it the one? Is that real? Lee Harassment is weird, and then Rave War Combo is like confusing. I guess I'm gonna go with Rosy Cheeks.
You got it.
Okay.
What gave that one away?
I just felt like the other 2 confused me in a way that I felt they were real. Like they just didn't seem like something you would come up with.
Okay, that's fair.
Because if you came up with Lee Harassment, for example, I would wonder like, why did you make that the fake move?
Yeah.
Because I don't get it, but I guess I have some moves to look up.
Yeah, that's one of his moves.
Alrighty.
Lee Harassment. Lee loves to harass, I guess.
Boy.
So.
I don't know how to feel about that, Lee.
I don't know
Rosy
either.
Cheeks, that's a good one.
I thought so.
But I sniffed you out there like Kuma sniffs out the salmon. Excellent. Thanks for the mix-up.
Of course. You actually did pretty solid there. You got 2 out of 3.
I think I'm improving.
I think so.
Maybe taking so many weeks where I did the mix-up helped out my own mix-up game. I don't know. I don't want to speak too soon. I have a habit of doing that, I think, with fighting games. But speaking of fighting games, shall we get into our week in fighting games?
Let's do it.
This will be pretty brief because I'm sure you can tell. We're doing 2 parts, so 2 weeks of the Tekken 8 story. So that was a lot of our fighting game consumption this week.
Aside from the Tekken 8 story, which we'll get to, we also played some Street Fighter 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've been kind of getting back into Street Fighter 6. Maybe it's like Capcom Cup in the air and
Definitely.
LCQ is about to happen. And we just did our first collaboration episode with Fight Rise on their Discord channel. And that was on Tuesday night and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and that is called Wake Up 3 Rise and Fight. We will have an upload of it soon on our YouTube page. And usually I've got editing from Molly to keep me from sounding like a fool, but I think it sounded pretty solid. I think we did pretty great, and we had some awesome participation. We had a couple of people jump on stage with us and chat with us for a little bit.
Yeah, shout out to Adolfo for tuning in and being there and talking to us. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was great. That was a lot of fun.
And yeah, it was just a lot of great fighting game conversation. So feel free to check out our upload that will be coming soon. And then also join us for the next one. We're doing these bi-weekly. So every other Tuesday night, get on that Discord and we'll be there.
Yeah, the next one will be February 27th, 8 p.m. Eastern. So be there. It was a lot of fun, and we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. Join the convo. It's a great little slice of the FGC on Fight Rise, and they're so supportive. There's players of all levels. Clearly, I'm in there now, so I consider myself very much a Street Fighter novice. But it's, again, we've mentioned this before. It's more than just Street Fighter. There's, topics for everybody. Tekken, Mortal Kombat, you name it. So
That's right.
But that definitely kept our Street Fighter 6 steam going. We're back on our Jury and Jamie game for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Luke and Ken are they're on the sidelines for now. They're taking a break. I may have come to terms with the fact that maybe the Shoto style isn't quite my vein, but I still have a love for Ken that I wish to cultivate in the future. Maybe when I'm better at Street Fighter in general, I'll hop back and be a top tier. We'll see.
We'll see. But I feel like right now playing low tier Jamie is only going to help in the long run, because once you get good with him, you're going to be really good with anybody that's actually high tier.
Right, because when you start at the bottom,
only way to go is up.
Exactly. Had that epiphany today. We did it ended up being a first to 5 with Jury and Jamie. And how do you feel about tell me what's going on with Jury these days?
I feel like today I wasn't in the right headspace, and I just didn't have it today. I mean, we went 4 to 5, and then I tried going online after that, and I could tell I wasn't in the right headspace, because I only did a handful of fights today. I did 3 or 4 after that, and it just didn't feel right. I couldn't get into my groove. I was dropping everything, and yeah, like I said, it just didn't feel right. So I decided to stop myself there and not push it, because I knew if I just kept going, it was only going to get worse. But overall, I've been feeling pretty solid with my Jury. I've got couple of new combos I've been trying out here and there with varying degrees of success, but I feel like overall I'm seeing some progress here.
Yeah, I hope you can see the positives in, some of these experiences that may appear to be mostly negative, but like you said, it was 4 to 5. It was 9 to 10. The last we talked about that one.
Between that, we also had a 5-0.
Yeah. Exactly.
Not to throw you under the bus or anything like that.
No. Yeah.
But yeah, we It varies. It varies. That day I was on my A game.
Yeah, so I hope you can see the positives and remember your 5-0 and all of the seemingly negative times, because I'm there watching and I see things that you're improving on for sure, and I know when I'm fighting, I fought your Jury from the beginning, so I can definitely see a progression. And I definitely get frustrated by the things you do sometimes. So
there are times where I can tell and I feel a little bit bad and I want to stop doing those things a little bit, but
that was like me the first night of Tekken 8 being out against you.
Yeah. That was discouraging. That was rough that first night, but
I feel you.
I'm all in now on Kuma, so it's all good.
I think that pretty much covered, unless there's anything else you want to mention about our week in fighting games. I think that was mostly it. We've just kind of been back on Street Fighter a bit, which I didn't really know when I was going to, go back into it full force. So,
Right.
But now I feel like I kind of want to just focus. Even though I said I was going to play Tekken 8 a bunch, I still want to.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard to juggle all these games at the same time that are out at the same time and they're new at the same time, and you just don't want to miss anything, but it's hard.
Right. It's tough. It's tough to juggle all these games at once, but...
Somebody tell me which one I should focus on. Right now, it's going to be Jamie.
Yeah, fair enough. And we've also got another character coming out, and I don't think we've talked about this yet, but
no,
Ed comes out at the end of the month. Ed comes out on the 27th, and...
They're going to be able to play him at Capcom Cup. Ed's coming out. He actually looks pretty cool.
He does. He looks sick. And normally I'm not all for that boxer archetype. I feel like usually I don't care for boxers in games unless they're a kangaroo or a dinosaur or something special.
Or Vanessa in King of Fighters 14.
Yeah, that one specifically. I don't like her in 15. But, yeah, that aside, I feel like normally I don't care for boxers, but Ed looks sick. And maybe it's the Elden Ring style gravity pull that he's got going on, but I'm into it. I think he looks really cool.
Yeah, he does look cool. I would like to give him a try. And then also Peacemaker comes out. I think we mentioned that in passing last episode, but
I think so.
Peacemaker will be out to play at the end of this month as well.
I want to say that's the 28th, so
Yeah.
just one day later.
Yeah.
So end of the month, we're going to have our hands full.
Exactly. Anything else to say about our week in fighting games? I think that was pretty much it.
I think that's pretty much it, yeah.
Cool.
Let's jump into some Tekken 8 story mode.
Well, it is finally time to delve into the Tekken 8 story. We have let the dust settle, and we are ready to talk about it. So...
That's right. This is your last chance for spoilers. So if you haven't played the story mode and you want to, make sure you do that first before listening to the episode.
Here's your point of no return.
Yes, from here on, it's going to be full spoilers.
But before that, there is a little bit of a refresher built into the game.
Yes, which is pretty great. There's some recaps for every single game leading up to Tekken 8 in the gallery, just built into the game, and it asks you if you would like to view them before you start the story mode.
Yeah, so it's done in a continuous style unique to Tekken 8. There were some surprises.
Yeah.
I've never played a Tekken story till 8. Cam, you've played 7?
Yeah, I've only played the story for 7. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they did a really good job at recapping everything.
Right. So we watched all of those. It's a quick, easy watch to just go through all of them, and fun too. It just covers all the bases to get you nice and prepped for the current story. We're not going to go through all of what goes on in those, but I guess anything you want to talk about that stood out to you in particular?
Yeah, the gist of the first 2 games is Heihachi throws Kazuya off a cliff, Kazuya throws Heihachi off a cliff, and then Heihachi comes back and throws Kazuya off a cliff again. And then Heihachi has a gun and shoots Jin in the back of the head.
Yeah.
In Tekken 3.
Now that stopped me in my tracks.
That was a shocker. Yeah, you were immediately like, Heihachi has a gun?
Like, whoa.
New projectile?
Grandpa. What are you doing? But yeah, especially because he kind of like, which I didn't know all the details of the previous Tekken stories, and I wasn't aware that Heihachi kind of mentors Jin to compete in the tournament. So that's a real big fat betrayal right there, to shoot not just anyone but your own blood and someone that you spent time training in the back of the head.
Yeah.
But Jin is obviously fine.
Yeah, his devil form protects him.
Yeah.
That's when it comes out in full and he just flies through the roof. In 6th, Lars is there, and they don't even say who he is, which is pretty funny.
Up until 6, these little clips were being narrated by Kazuya, Heihachi, Jin. So all of the Mishimas that you know, even if you don't know Tekken that well, you know Kazuya. You know Jin. But then it's like out of left field, there's a new narrator. There's a new person on screen. They don't even say his name.
They don't.
So if you're watching the recaps and you get to 6 and you're like, wait a second, this voice doesn't sound familiar. I don't know who that is, but they kind of have Mishima hair.
The
That's
untamed
Lars, the
hairstyle.
bastard son of Heihachi. There you go. He first showed up in 6.
Yeah.
And he's here again.
Yeah. And in 6, he takes down Azazel, and that's the first time you see Azazel. He's a giant Egyptian devil beast. Mm-hmm. And that'll be important later on. That's why I mention it.
He looks pretty wild.
He looks pretty nuts. It's kind of sick.
Definitely check these little clips out. It's unique to Tekken 8. They didn't exist before, so
Right, yeah.
It's a fun way to just get a refresher. So let's get into the Tekken 8 story. Is there anything else you want to say?
One last thing, because Tekken 7 is important to this story.
Yes.
I want to mention the end of Tekken 7. Kazuya and Heihachi face off inside of an active volcano. And I guess not inside it. They're just at like the brim of it. So
Around
at the
the
top of
edge.
it, around the edge of an active volcano, I should say. And Kazuya wins this fight and throws Heihachi's body into lava. Off of a cliff, of course. And that's the end of Heihachi.
Yeah.
Heihachi Mishima is dead.
That is right. So cliffs and throwing people off of them are a definite strong theme to the Tekken stories throughout time.
Yes, killing your father, killing your son, etc.
And devil genes. So let's get into the Tekken 8 story.
Let's do it.
It is called The Dark Awakens.
Chapter 1. Evil Stars Collide.
Mm-hmm. Now, who could that be about? I wonder.
We will find out. The story begins with Commander Lars Alexanderson and Li Shaolan in an airship, keeping tabs on Jin Kazama as he drives a motorcycle through a city in chaos. This place is burnt up, there's people running all over the place. We don't see the source of it just yet, but we do see Jin ride a motorcycle up the side of a building. Jin is
On X Games.
on X Games mode, riding a motorcycle through the city. He ramps off of a cop car and drives up the side of a building. And then he just kind of chucks the motorcycle. He redirects it midair and throws it into Kazuya's helicopter, causing it to spiral down into the city streets and explode.
Like, man, I think I would have hung on to that motorcycle. It seems like it can do things that
Most can't.
normal motorcycles should not.
I know, right? But that's okay. We'll see more motorcycles in this story. Many more.
We'll just use it as a weapon. We're good.
At this point, Kazuya walks out of the flames and just laughs. He doesn't give a shit about his helicopter or whoever was in it flying him.
Typical Kazuya fashion.
Right. The father and son duo have a brief discussion of war and whose fault it is that the world is at war. They kind of blame each other. You do a couple of fights, and then after beating up your dad twice, Jin goes full devil mode and throws a pile of cars on top of Kazuya. Then he uses his eye laser to blow them all up.
Seems definitively, in Jin's favor there.
You would think so. But then he grabs Kazuya by the head. Kazuya still has done nothing. He's been exploded by a bunch of cars and lasers. Jin grabs him by the head and then starts dragging him through a bunch of buildings, just destroying the place. And you'd think that would do some damage to Kazuya, but next time we see him, he's transformed into his devil mode and just beating the absolute shit out of Jin. Kazuya then shoots a giant laser at Devil Jin, which takes him out of the fight and destroys several city blocks of New York. Kazuya gives a speech to the entire world about how humans are weak and power is everything. Lasers about a dozen satellites out of space in one go. He just hands his laser and somehow hits all these satellites with perfect precision. Not sure if he can see them from that far or if he just knew where they were, but it's a pretty badass scene. After that, he announces another King of Iron Fist tournament. This one will be for the fate of the world. Losers will be killed and their countries will be wiped off the face of the earth.
And while he's doing all of this, we see a new character that's keeping track of everything, trying to make sure Kazuya isn't doing bad stuff.
Is it the guy with the hat?
Victor?
Oh yeah, I forgot about Victor because I didn't write him down.
So Victor's in a submarine, God knows where, but we see a new character, Victor, and he's
Just lurking.
He's supposed to be keeping track. He's listening into everything Kazuya's announcing. He's disturbed by the fact that Kazuya has dismantled all these satellites. He also has a little helper.
Yeah.
Not so little.
Not
He's
so
pretty
little.
buff. It's Raven.
Raven.
So
That is right.
They're working together.
Up next, we see Jin sinking down into super deep water, while a vision of Devil Jin reaches his hand out to save him. Jin says, "I'm not like him," and it looks like he's giving up on life. But a vision of his mother June snaps him out of it, and he reaches for his mother's hand. We then cut to a guy with a ponytail and a cowboy hat who is exploring a cave, looking at cave drawings of huge monsters. One of them in particular is Azazel. Chapter 2. Wayward Power. We did not know who this man with the cowboy hat was, by the way. We were trying to take guesses, like, who the hell is this dude? You guessed Leo. I guessed Paul, and then you said maybe Reyna because of the boots.
Yeah. And then you shot that down because she doesn't have enough hair for a ponytail like that.
True. Maybe she had a wig on while she was exploring.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, they don't want us to be able to guess who this is on purpose.
They made her wear a wig under her hat in the cave. Chapter 2 starts with a weakened Jin training against Lars, only to find that he's weaker than he's ever been. Lars tells him to use his devil powers, and we get a great quote from Jin. "I can't turn into a devil?"
So he's confused as to why he can't turn into a devil, even though he denied the devil power saving him.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay,
Also,
Jin.
Of course you can't. Most people can't, dude. If anyone else heard you say that, they'd think you were insane.
Exactly.
Anyways, 3 days later, Jin is punching the air by himself, doing a little bit of training, I guess, and he's tiring himself out just from that. He starts to faint a little bit. Elisa notices and rushes down to kind of catch him and ease him onto a bench. She gives him a little bit of a pep talk, telling him that he is everyone's hope. We also find out that Elisa is the one that pulled him from the rubble in New York City. So he was never underwater. That was a vision. Mm-hmm. Some kind of subconscious descending into your subconscious vision. It's a very short chapter. Chapter 3, A Ghost from the Past. We start seeing a little bit of action from the tournament qualifiers at this point, and we find out that Paul, Lily, Azucena, and Leroy Smith have qualified. Reyna introduces herself to Jin while he's walking down a hallway towards the tournament, and she says that she goes to Mishima Polytechnical School, like he used to do, and that if Jin wins his next match, they will be facing each other in the qualifiers.
Yeah, and Reyna's she's giving off this really innocent and admiring vibe towards Jin when we first see her in this hallway. Yeah. But there's always this underlying, like, what does she really want?
Right. She's definitely playing like, kind of like just the innocent schoolgirl vibe. Mm-hmm. Like she's just a fan. Next up is actually the Jin versus Reyna match. Because he apparently won the one that she mentioned. We don't get to see it. But the two have a fight. Reyna busts out some sick Mishima style moves, just like her old man. We don't know that yet. For a brief second, Jin uses his devil powers to hit her a couple of times and causes Reyna to give up. Why did she give up so easily? She's definitely faking being worried about fighting him. You can tell. Mm-hmm. But she gives a good act. She's like, wait, owie, that hurt. She literally says owie. She's faking this, though, and really she only quit because she realizes the secret to unlocking devil power is the threat of death. She hit Jin so hard in the face that the devil power unlocked without him controlling it, and he was able to get a couple of good hits in.
Yeah. I also want to note that in this chapter, Kazuya calls the earth a decrepit rock.
He does. He does.
We also see Huarang, who advances with an instant KO.
Yeah, we don't even get to see that one. We see Huarang standing there.
They just announce it.
After this fight with Reyna and Jin, Huarang climbs into the ring and challenges Jin immediately. I don't think that's normally how tournaments go. Usually you get a little bit of a rest period. But he wants to fight Jin while Jin's still heated up. The fight goes 3 rounds. Jin taps into his devil power a little bit and uses his classic 10-hit combo to KO Huarang and win the fight, advancing to the actual tournament.
Now Huarang's kind of bitter. He's a hothead, and he ends up telling Jin he's been saddled with a weird-ass power.
Air quotes there. Yeah, weird-ass power. I like that. He's like, you're kind of a freak. I'm going to beat you up someday. Chapter 4, Unrelenting Ambition. We move on to Ling Xiaoyu in Italy at the Sirius Temple. She is watching Jin's match on her phone with Panda. She cheers when he wins, and Panda says, Xiaoyu, I'm glad you're happy. And it's so cute. I just love how supportive Panda is.
Me too.
She's great. Like I said, they're in Claudio's Sirius Temple stage from Tekken 7. Not sure why they were watching the tournament there on a phone instead of, I don't know, maybe on a TV in a sports bar or something. Doesn't matter, though. It gives them the chance to see Claudio and Zafina talking about Kazuya ending the world, needing to find Jin, and Azazel, the ancient god that Jin defeated in Tekken 6. They're just having this discussion out in the open in his temple. Ling Xiaoyu walks up to them and casually asks to join them. She's like, hey, take me with you? And they do. Next, we're back at Lars and Lee's secret base. I don't really know what that place is called. I don't think they say. The hangar? Is it just the hangar? The hangar of a secret base.
The hangar of the Lion Rebellion?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Sure.
Yeah. Reina has joined them. She's still up to something. She's just kind of thoughtful. She's thinking about their last interaction, Jin and Reina, and the information she's learned so far. And she says, I'm going to find out how to tap into this devil power.
Okay.
Kind of weird. Then a helicopter with the cave explorer from earlier shows up in the hangar, and out comes Professor Nicholas Clayson, a man we've never seen before, but that's the cave explorer. So we were all wrong on that.
But I was closer with my very first guess. I guess you could say it was some sharp intuition because he comes equipped with an assistant.
He does. Out comes Leo, and Nicholas Clayson, Professor, announces him as, this is Leo, my acting assistant. The entire time we were playing the story, we thought that was Leo's dad.
For some reason. I don't know why.
I think it was just because we saw them together and we missed like that single line of dialogue. So we were like, yeah, that's Leo's dad.
That's Leo's dad.
That's Leo's dad.
They speak the same language.
Same hair color, I guess.
Must be dad,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's not.
It's not. Or is it?
They just work together. Maybe it is,
Maybe
and
it
they
is.
just didn't say.
Maybe he didn't introduce Leo as his son. Leo does later say to Lee, you've helped out my dad and I quite a bit. So I don't know if that's his dad.
Maybe that's why we thought it was his dad.
I think so.
Okay.
I don't really know though for sure, because you'd think that you would introduce Leo as your son, or maybe they didn't say.
Acting assistant is a weird thing to say if it wasn't your own child.
Maybe you wouldn't say son because Leo is just Leo. This is my child, Leo. Anyways,
maybe I guess yes. It is. Is Leo's last name Clayson?
I don't think we know that.
Okay.
Leo is Leo. That's all we know.
Period.
Right.
So they work together.
And Professor Nicholas goes on to tell them about his cave findings and that the devils are exceptional members of humanity that have been given a fraction of Azazel's power. Azazel created devils to act as his servants. Mm-hmm. So Kazuya, Jin, the rest of the devils are all supposed to serve Azazel for whatever his greater desires are.
And they're much, much weaker than Azazel.
It's just a fraction of Azazel's power, which Lars took down in Tekken 6, so you wouldn't think the devils would be too big of a deal. We'll see how that goes. Chapter 5. A Fate Decided by Fists.
Finally, we don't have to fight as Jin.
Yeah, finally. The tournament is actually here. We are in Italy in the Colosseum.
Probably the most notable thing here in this chapter is that we not only don't have to fight as Jin anymore. Until now, every fight that is built into the story, you are Jin. Now you can play as different people, and there's a special announcer.
Yes.
If you recall all of the character trailers up to the release of Tekken 8, there's a special announcer that I hope ends up being an option to use in the game because it's awesome.
That would be really fun. That'd be great. It is Lenny Hart.
Mm-hmm.
She is actually a famous announcer in Japan. She announces Japanese wrestling, and I think she's done MMA. She's done all kinds of announcing, but she's great. And It's really, really fun to hear everything she has to say in this chapter because she gets to not only say their names and get ready and fight and all that, she also gives little descriptions on each and every fighter. And it's really fun to hear that.
It really is.
This is a cool chapter, though, because we get to choose which characters we want to play in each of these fights, so we actually get to choose who advances in the tournament. We chose King over Steve Fox, Kuma over Paul Phoenix, Dragunov over Shaheen, Brian Fury over Yoshimitsu, Azucena.
Now, I have to stop you there because that was a hard one.
That was a tough one.
But we were passing the controller back and forth, like, you fight this one, I fight the next one, and that happened to be Cam's turn, so you know he's gonna pick Brian over Yoshimitsu.
I had to.
Yoshimitsu, I would have picked you. But...
Probably should have picked the more heroic character, but
yeah.
I did choose Brian Fury.
Then that left me next to choose between Lily or Azucena, and I went with Azucena for something different.
Right. And then we were forced to play as Jin again against Leroy Smith. I wasn't very excited about this fight at first because I didn't care for Leroy in Tekken 7, but this scene actually made me really appreciate him as a character. So I actually came out of this game liking Leroy Smith a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
He tells Jin that without heart, strength means nothing. Show it to me. Show me your heart. You do a couple of fights, and each time Jin is, I guess, winning, but Leroy is holding back, and he keeps talking to him, saying things like, you can't follow the path ahead of you with fear in your heart. Let go of that fear. Believe in your heart. Then we get to press a single button QuickTime event where you press X to make Jin say, I believe in my heart. And I love it. I love being able to just press X to believe in my heart. After Jin wins against Leroy, Kazuya makes a speech about how the winning country will be rewarded, which pumps up the crowd and gets them to release all kinds of negative purple energy, and he's clearly feasting on that.
I just want to say that during the Paul versus Kuma fight, it's different than a regular fight because you get little in-fight dialogue that occurs. And one of the things that Kuma says is, you've been a thorn in my side for far too long.
Yeah, I love
Through
that.
growls, of course.
Right, of course.
Kuma doesn't speak in words.
I love that everyone can understand Kuma and Panda. And not only that, every character speaks their own language, yet they still understand everyone that talks to them. And I kind of love that too.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, Claudio, Zafina, Ling Xiaoyu, Panda, Lars, Lee, and Victor all show up outside the Coliseum at pretty much the same time to stop Kazuya. Thus ends Chapter 5. Chapter 6, The Devil Progenitor. All the heroes that just got to the Coliseum race inside, and Devil Kazuya... Oh, I do want to say before that...
hold on. They're on the outside when Victor and Lars meet up.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, Victor's a bitch.
He is.
Because Lars is all in awe and very respectfully is saying, I didn't think I'd get to actually fight alongside the Phantom Raven. To which Victor replies, this is no time for code names, those are for kids.
Yeah, what the hell?
Bitch, I am a 29-year-old man, I'll have you know. Lars should have just, before they went into the Coliseum to fight Kazuya, he should have just kicked Victor's ass right there. Fuck Victor. That was rude as hell.
It was.
How is Lars supposed to respond to that with his big wide shoulders?
Just shoulder charge him. Fuck Victor. Stupid old man.
Grab his dumb leg.
His dumb leg. Yeah, so we find out that his old code name was the Phantom Raven. When Lars said, I can't believe I get to meet the Phantom Raven, or whatever it was, I was looking around like, where is Raven? I don't see him on screen. Oh, they're talking about this stupid old man. Anyways.
Do they call you the Phantom Raven because you should be dead because you're so fucking old?
Or because you're pasty as fuck.
Yeah.
You look like a ghost. We are dumping
Anybody
on this man.
want to jump on the Victor hate train? It's right here and it's going full speed ahead.
Everybody seems to like this guy. There's got to be a couple of haters, and I guess we're those haters.
We're calling out to you.
Anyways, if you play Victor, I'm sorry, but
I'm not. You shouldn't. You should get beat always if you play Victor.
Oh my God. All of the heroes that just got to the Coliseum outside race inside, and Devil Kazuya immediately grabs Zafina, like the second they get in the Coliseum, calls her a fool for coming here of her own volition, and releases Azazel from her arm before just chucking her at the ground. Jin catches her, but it's too late because she's already dying.
Now, before this, like you said, it was going up her arm. Before, it was just kind of in her hand, like in 7.
Yeah.
So something was progressing at the beginning of this story. She's like in pain.
Yeah, when they're running to the Coliseum, she's actually clutching her arm, and you can see how far it's going up. It's almost all the way to her shoulder. She dies in Jin's arms without really doing anything thus far. She does get a couple of words in her, I guess, dying breaths. They are, Jin, you need to go to the place where it all began.
Whatever that means to Jin. She also tells him that he will be a shining star of hope for the rebellion.
Yes.
So a little bit of confidence instilled for Jin in her death.
Not only that, she is the second person in the story to mention hope in reference to Jin.
That's right.
The first being Elisa.
So another theme. And immediately I think he's kind of just like, yep, I know what that means. Yakushima.
Yeah.
That's where I went with my mom. Now, it's important to note at this point in the story that we do get to see a memory of Jin's from the point of view of young Jin walking behind his mother in a beautiful place with trees and sunshine. And she's telling him, listen, Jin, I'll teach you the Kazama style.
At this point, Kazuya summons Azazel, fights him, and beats the giant devil beast pretty easily. This was a sweet fight because we actually got to fight Azazel.
This was wild.
I did not expect this, but he takes up so much of the screen. He's huge, and it's actually scaled out a little bit so it can make your character look tinier. And it was really fun.
I thought it was terrifying, but I guess fun also works.
Yeah, either way. He beats the devil beast pretty easily, and then grabs him by the tail and chucks him up into the sky. At which point he flies as fast as he can and punches a hole through his stomach and absorbs all of Azazel's power into himself, becoming true Devil Kazuya, which is an advanced, uglier devil form.
No clothes anymore. This is just pure devil, crystals as hair, etc.
He's got a giant eyeball on his chest. Chapter 7, Despair. Jin wants to fight Kazuya at this point, but the whole squad tells him to go find his roots, like Zafina had asked.
Mm-hmm. Thank God for the squad.
Honestly. And he puts his faith in all of them at this point. He puts his hope in the squad. Now Claudio needs time to perform some sort of spell, so the rest of the team tries to buy him a little time, but mostly they just get thrown around and beaten up with ease. There's a really cool shot of all of them jumping in towards Kazuya at the same time, and all he does is punch the ground and send everybody flying.
So let's recap who this team is. We've got Elisa, Victor, the bitch, Reina, Lars, Lee, and then Huarang also joins in because he was at the Coliseum to watch the fight. He kind of just like wants to show up and watch Jen get his ass kicked whenever he can.
That's what he's hoping to see.
But then he's like, you know what? I'll settle for just trying to help kick Kazuya's ass. So he's gonna contribute some kicks, I guess. But yeah, they all get blown away anyway.
They get destroyed. Yeah, they don't have a
chance.
chance.
Except for Reina.
Yes, she jumps in. She wasn't really part of the fight with the rest of them. She doesn't show up on screen at the same time as this group move they all do. She waits till they're all kind of down, and then she says, cool, this is my chance. Jumps in, throws Elisa's rocket arm at Kazuya, but it doesn't reach him. He just lasers it out of the sky. And she jumps through the explosion, punches him right in the face, and then you get to fight as Reina for the first time. I think the only time in the story.
Yeah, I think so. And they're kind of enclosed in this ring of devil crystals.
It's super cool. I wish that was a stage.
That would be cool.
That's a sweet stage. I hope that at some point they release that as either a stage variation or just one of its own.
Yeah, of the Coliseum. That would be cool. Yeah, she definitely is an outsider to this group and has her own motives. And when everyone else fails, she kind of takes that as an opportunity to have a one-on-one with this true devil Kazuya.
Yes.
And try to get more devil intel, I guess.
I guess so. She puts all of her effort into this fight. She was holding back like most of her power in the fight against Jin earlier, trying to appear weak, frail, and just kind of like a fangirl. Now she really lets loose. She does a pretty good job, and we see that she's extremely resilient because she gets tossed around, she gets shot with like a full-scale laser, and she just blocks it. But overall, she really has no chance of actually dealing any damage to Devil Kazuya. Finally, however, Claudio's spell is ready after all this time, and it binds Kazuya in place for a second. Before Kazuya can break free, Claudio fires a massive soul arrow at him. It's huge.
Just some Dark Souls terminology for you.
Yeah. That's a gigantic soul arrow. It's huge, and it looks really sick. I thought that was cool. Mm-hmm. And Kazuya moves at the last second. Claudio collapses, but not before airbending the soul arrow back around, making it do a U-turn at Kazuya's back. Kazuya fires a giant chest laser and turns Claudio into a crater. There's nothing left. We don't see a body. There's just nothing.
We see a crater, but we do not see Claudio. So he is one with the earth now. Yeah. But he's really honestly the only one to do any real damage. Kazuya has now got a shoulder wound.
Yeah.
So he has to fly off and hide away for a bit.
He was going to try to fight through it, but he's just like, Azazel, this is going to have to wait. At this point, Victor does his second asshole thing of the story and says, Claudio, I didn't think you would be the one to pull my ass out of the fire. Come on, he just sacrificed himself for everyone.
Yeah, bro, you're going to say that to a man that is now a crater?
Yeah.
Come
Super
on.
rude.
But yeah, Jin is off. He has left to follow Zafina's advice. Zafina, whose dead body is being carried on the back of Panda.
It's a little sad.
Lily volunteers her fancy jet that's decked out in pink frills to carry him to his destination. She knows where it is. She's like, yeah, my pilot has that in the list of locations that we go to all the time. So that's not going to be a problem. So it's Lily, Xiao Yu, of course, and Panda with dead Zafina.
And Asuka.
Yep. I guess
Asuka's there too.
I guess I didn't write Asuka down, but
she's there too.
Yeah, she's there too. Her and Lily are just bantering all the time.
So we're going to stop right here. When we pick up next week, we are going to continue our adventures with Lily, Jin, Asuka, Ling Xiaoyu, and Panda aboard their private jet. And we're going to see what happens next.
Yeah, and I think right now, as it stands, don't like Victor. Claudio got bonus points for being a character we both didn't care much about in Tekken 7. He's got bonus points now. He actually did something cool.
Probably the coolest thing so far in the story.
And also Leroy. Wasn't really a standout for me in Tekken 7, but I think he's really cool now.
Yeah, I love everything he says to Jin in that part. It's great. Dwelling on the past is something for old men to do. You must face the future. It's great.
Thanks, Leroy. Anything else to say about the first half?
It's pretty intense.
Oh, yeah.
And things are looking dire right now for the crew, even though they got a win? They slowed Kazuya down. He has to go back to his headquarters and heal.
Yeah, they bought some time. Jin can now go off and get this thing underway. Figure himself out. So we will see how that goes next week. Join us for part 2, where we will wrap up the Tekken 8 story and give you a bit more of our thoughts and opinions once we get to the end. So, hope you enjoyed the first part, and we'll see you then.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of Wake Up 3. You can follow along on Twitter at Wakeupthreefgc or on YouTube and Spotify at Wakeup3. I'm your host, Cam, and you can find me at Big Ruck Online on all social media.
And I'm your host, Molly, and you can find me on Twitter at Concut, that's KAHNKUT, or on PlayStation, that's Jan Michaels.
This is Wake Up 3, signing off.
Bye.
Jim, Jesus.
Jim Kazama.